very good evening. My name is Jeremy and I'm here to share with you my story of climbing Mount Everest. This is a picture of me on the summit of Mount Everest. What do you think of it when you see it? Do you see suffering, struggles, determination, or achievement? To me, I see all of the above. It all started 15 years ago when I was 14 and I got my first chance at climbing a mountain called Mount Everest in Malaysia. The trek only took 2 days, but reaching the summit was amazing. A year later, I climbed 4,000 meter high Mount Kinabalu over here. And it was an eye-opening experience into the realm of mountain climbing. At the summit, the view of the South China Sea was simply breathtaking, and the steep drops simply took my breath away. It was also my first taste of vertigo, also known as fear of heights, which I have to this current day. Climbing seemed to me as a great way to conquer my fears as well as the unknowns. At this point, I never dreamt of climbing Mount Everest, but having climbed half of it sparked an idea that perhaps I could climb even higher. Fast forward to 2015, I was a third year undergraduate at NTU, but during lectures, all I could think about was when was the next big climb. I know my mom and dad wouldn't want to hear that, but anyways, by that time I had climbed almost 31 mountains in the world, at Bolivia, India, and Southeast Asia. And I was about to embark on my biggest expedition yet. It was Peak Lenin, just behind me, right? 7,000 meter giant in Kyrgyzstan. I went on this 3-week expedition with one of my good friends, and we had a hard time, a very tough time. We climbed up and down a total of 3 times. And finally, after a 15-hour day, climbing up slow steps, we managed to summit after 15 hours in horrendous whiteout weather, as you can see over here. It was only during then that I decided that I wanted to climb Mount Everest. The wind was blowing, the air cold, and all I could hear were my breaths as I trudged forward slowly, step by step. This was in 2016, and I was on Peak Kozhenskaya, a 7,000 meter peak, my second 7,000 meter peak in Tajikistan. This mountain I summited after 8 hours, and I was officially the first Singaporean to climb 2 7,000 meter peaks in Central Asia. It all seemed nice and rosy, right? That I summited 2 7,000 meter peaks consecutively, But I faced many challenges and also failures, which made me think very hard about whether I was ready for the big mountains. I took each mountain as my own test for Mount Everest. During my final year in 2016, I started to plan how I'll be getting the money to climb Mount Everest. How much do you think Mount Everest cost? Just shout out. 7,000? Anybody at the back?
20,000.
Okay, it feels like an auction, but anyways, it cost 60,000 US dollars. All right, and the permit itself is $11,000. It was an uphill struggle, and I had no experience with any sponsorships, charities, or partnerships. After graduation, I worked a full-time job while at the same time speaking to sponsors and training very hard. It was a very tough 18 months. Basically, I was flipping every stone, I was there in every event, speaking to family and friends, explaining to them my crazy idea to climb the highest mountain in the world, all right? And also the sponsorship plans. And I even proposed the idea at a Singapore Ministers Meet the People session. However, sadly, to no avail. As if that wasn't hard enough, I wanted to climb Mount Everest for charity. My uncle had stage 3 nose cancer in 2004, and I felt that was it was a very close proximity, climbing Mount Everest and surviving the war with cancer. It was a very good proximity for me. After countless rejections by more than 300 corporate companies, I finally found my money and off I went. Okay, this is a picture of me seeking some sponsorships. This is 8,848 meter Mount Everest, the highest mountain on planet Earth. The journey to the summit takes almost 2 months. Why? Climbers basically have to climb up and down multiple times to acclimatize, and we climb to at least Camp 3, up on the Lhotse face, right? And finally we will be able to achieve and get our chance at the summit. There were many challenges. Alright, there were many challenges on Mount Everest. First of all, there was these ice blocks, the size of buses that can come crashing down on you at any moment. Crevices, the size and the depth of 7 to 10 stories, and if you fall inside there, you are falling into the oblivion. Water can seep into your brain and lungs, causing edema and causing you to suffocate within seconds. And not forgetting, as I'm going for the summit, there are 2,000 meter drops on the left and the right. And if you fall and you do a misstep, you just fall and plunge into Nepal and China. And of course, minus 40 degrees Celsius, alright, the temperature is really cold, the risk of frostbite is really real. And at the death zone, there's only 1/3 of oxygen levels at the current sea level right now. Humans just aren't meant to survive on Mount Everest. When I was on my summit push in 2017, 2 years ago, I was climbing through the death zone, starting from Camp 4 over here at 8,000 meters. I was carrying about 10 kilograms with water, oxygen bottles and snacks, and even some spare gloves. After 4 to 5 steps, I would take a minute, right, to take a breath. That is how slow going it was. As I was climbing in my exhausted and hallucinative idea, I was so tired, I even mistook a discarded oxygen bottle for a human corpse. In total, I had passed through about 3 dead bodies just to go for the summit. It was a grim reminder of if I had made a misstep. Despite the conditions, I was still feeling rather confident and was moving fast below the south summit at 8,700 meters. Then, the strangest thing happened. My feet was getting cold and numb, but I couldn't feel anything. And I started to storm on it, okay, to make sure my feet got some feelings, My feet and my toes were totally numb. It was there and then that I decided I had to make a decision, a good decision, because I didn't want to risk any frostbite. I told my Sherpa guide that I wanted to turn back, and he looked at me and he said, the summit is just 1.5 hours, just from here, or 150 meters vertical distance. It's not far, right? I knew that if I went for the summit, I might have lost some toes, or I might have even endangered my friends or my Sherpa's life and my own life as well. So therefore, I decided that that was the year I was going to turn back. I climbed down to Camp 4, and almost after 24 hours on the move, I made it back to base camp. At that moment, I had already decided that I wanted to go back to Everest and accomplish the dream. This was just the beginning. This year, with the support of family, friends, new sponsors, I was more ready than ever. I trained intensively for 3 months and even bought new socks to make sure my feet was warm, So this is me on Mount Everest this year. Although I felt not as strong and acclimatized as I was 2 years ago, we still made a trip to Camp 3 and made ourselves acclimatized and ready for the summit push. So off we were on the summit push on the 21st of May 2019. With the same heavy backpacks, I again stopped every 4 to 5 steps to take a breath, a much needed breath. Finally, after reaching the balcony at 8,400 meters, we changed our oxygen bottles. We carry oxygen bottles up there, and had a sip of coffee because it was very crowded that day. A lot of people were going for the summit. At the same time, I was feeling extremely sleepy. As I got higher, a weird premonition hit me. right? And then my toes started to feel cold once again. And it was a time when my feet started to get cold, and I asked myself, how could this be happening once again? I had bought new socks. How could this be happening, you know? However, it was only my right foot this time. I was really lucky. It was only my right foot, and I stomped my feet to get back the circulation quick. At 4:45 a.m., I reached the south summit at 8,700 meters, and the sun had risen a bit up in the air, all right? And I could see from a distance the summit flags wavering. I knew that the summit at that moment was within my grasp. Then I walked on and I moved further, and I finally reached the Hillary Step at 8,800 meters. And then what I was shocked to see was I saw a human traffic jam had formed right in front of me. I think you probably saw that on the news, yeah? I was stuck in the jam for almost 1.5 hours. People couldn't go up, people couldn't go down, and basically I had a real big risk of frostbite. Also, luckily, the sun had risen, and I felt that it was a good decision at that moment. Finally, at 6:14 a.m. on the 22nd of May 2019, 12 hours after I left Camp 4, and 4 years after I conceived the idea of climbing Mount Everest, I took my last 3 final steps, and I was standing on the roof of the world. I had summited the highest mountain in the world, and had become the youngest Singaporean to climb Mount Everest twice. Most importantly, I raised a total of $25,000 for the Singapore Cancer Society and the Children's Cancer Foundation. I took 10 minutes over here at the summit to take photos with my sponsors and enjoy the panoramic view of my accomplishment. Now came the most dangerous part of climbing mountains, going down. Eventually, I did make my way down, and this is me after reaching